We have breaking news coming out of Montgomery. An afternoon shooting is now being investigated as a homicide.
Making their way to the city of Montgomery. It's a 4-day march.
And you told him that he would not return as police chief. So are we getting into semantics about retirement here? Was he more or less forced out of office?
Well, Ellis, it is a fantastic day here in the city of New Orleans. We are here at Washington Park, Jackson Square, just off to my right. It's perfect.
We are here in our magical toy drive vault. It's a great place. It's filled with holiday spirit this year.
The Rose Bowl for the game, which is set to kick off in just over an hour. A beautiful backdrop here. You don't get much better in all of college sports. The San Gabriel Mountains behind us, and then, of course, the historic Rose Bowl. We're here at Crampton Bowl, where everything is getting ready. The floats are behind me. The marching bands, they're starting to move on out. Santa is just to my right. Saw him and Mrs. Claus earlier, had a nice conversation.
And the election is this year, as you mentioned, 4 years with really this particular group of Republicans in charge of the Alabama State House. It's such a Republican state in general terms. Any big changes, any big upsets you could see in some of these state elections or even the local election?
I came down because it's plus 23 here, and I left minus 23 up in Canada.
You know you're talking Celsius there, right?
No, that C stands for Canadian.
Oh, okay. C stands for Canadian. I got it.
It's so funny. Before we went on the air, I was like, it's been a nice day. Yeah. Plenty of sunshine, not a lot of rain, but there are, 2 showers out there right now?
2 showers in the entire state of Alabama, and guess what? Both of those showers are in Montgomery County, and one of them.
News anchor Jeff Sanders is there, and he joins us now with more. Jeff.
Hey, Olivia, we are here on U.S. Highway 80, and the marchers are behind me now. We have about 100 marchers here, part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Jubilee celebration. They took off about 9 o'clock this morning at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and now they are making their way to the city of Montgomery. It's a 4-day march. They're going to get to Montgomery on Thursday, and then Friday they will march to the Capitol. If you look behind us here, you can see the banner, the 50th anniversary, Remember, Reconnect, and Restore, and that's what part of this is all about here. Let's talk to some of these folks here. Why be a part of this today in this long march to Montgomery?
To honor the ones who were killed and still living 50 years ago who fought for civil rights and voting rights.
And that's what these marchers are here for today. There's so many signs in the crowd. We've seen some stop voter suppression signs going on. It's just a gentle march all the way to Montgomery, a 54-mile march from Selma to Montgomery. So far, the weather is holding out. And this is part of a bigger picture. When they get to Montgomery, they're going to stop in 5 more states, and eventually they're going to wind up at the nation's capital for a rally there. But they will be doing about 11 miles a day to get in Montgomery on Thursday, and again they're going to rally at the state capitol on Friday. We'll be covering this march throughout the week and have more coming up later today at 5 and 6 o'clock here on Alabama News Network. Olivia.
For the BCS, live from Newport Beach, California. Jeff?
Well, Brittany, when you spend a couple of days out here in California, you understand why so many folks love to live here. Just look behind me. Palm trees, beautiful clear skies, the temperatures in the 70s. I know you're not seeing that back at home. So when folks do move out here and they love their Auburn Tigers, they're very happy to see those Tigers come to town and play in their own backyard.
Eventually.
And they're going to come right behind us here, as we said. They'll come right beside us. We're going to grab some of the racers as they come along, interview those racers later on this morning. And the crews, we talked about all the volunteers Greg was talking about.
Exactly.
They're busy here getting all the oranges and the bananas, all that after-race energy and food they need when they're done.
I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I was very fortunate. My mom and dad had the financial means to look out for me. And, of course, Santa was pretty good, too. So on Christmas Eve night and Christmas morning, that wish list I'd made and given to Santa, it was always there. So blessed as a child. But there are so many throughout Alabama, so many throughout the river region that aren't as blessed as I was, aren't as blessed as you were. So that's where we need your help. It's our magical Christmas toy drive.
This is the Alabama News Network at 5.
And good evening, I'm Jeff Sanders.
And I'm Ellis Eskew. This is Local News First on CBS 8. Thanks for joining us. First at 5, a teacher in South Alabama is behind bars, charged with having sex with a minor.
Police say the teacher allegedly had sex with one of her students. Reporter Daryl Forges has more now from the South Alabama newsroom.
Alabama News Network.
Now, Hall was booked into the Covington County Jail on a $700,000 bond.
From the $1,000 bond.
And now a story that's going viral. A mother in Columbus, Georgia wanted to teach her 10-year-old son a lesson for misbehaving in class. So she called the police to stage a mock arrest. Turns out, once officers released the boy, he ran to his mother, giving her a hug and promising not to misbehave anymore. Digital anchor Elise Roberts is tracking the web with your comments on the story that's firing up social media. Elise. All right, thanks so much, Elise. In other news, Governor Robert Bentley is continuing to try and drum up support for his plan to fix the general fund budget. He spoke to members of the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce today. The governor is still pushing to raise taxes to help cover what he calls a $700 million shortfall. But he called a proposed plan to expand gambling and add a lottery one of the worst pieces of legislation he says he's ever seen. Chamber members say they understand just how critical the situation is. Lawmakers passed around a draft of a lottery and gambling bill at the end of last week.
9 to 10. And it's no secret obesity has become an epidemic across Alabama.
Now microbiologists at Alabama State University are on the cutting edge of research to find out why we are getting fatter and how it can be stopped.
Over the past few decades, the waistlines of Americans have been expanding. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, nearly 35% of adults in the country, 78 million people, are obese. And the answer as to why may be very, very tiny.
Give us the opportunity to see on a molecular basis what's happening with the diet.
Shannon Davis is a microbiologist at Alabama State University. She is spearheading research into the gut microbiome, which consists of tens of trillions of microorganisms that live in our large intestine. Scientists like Davis are learning that these microbes are playing a large role in how our bodies use food, for good and for bad.
Processed foods, especially sugar, is equally as addictive as a heroin. Going to be collecting stool samples and surveys, and for those that don't want to donate a stool sample, we do have an online survey.
And learning how our bodies interact with these processed foods as compared to more natural foods can hopefully lead to better ways to prevent and reverse the obesity epidemic.
If it's something that can come in the form of a tablet that you can take, or water that you can drink.
And the research being done at ASU is helping health advocates like Michael Burdell with the city of Montgomery gain more tools to reduce the growing health crisis.
We've systematically seen improvements every year. We went from 34.6% down to 27.1%.
There's lots of organizations that are involved in obesity prevention and treatment, but our residents just may not know that they exist.
If you would like to take part in that ASU study, you can find out more information online at the web address or email address on your screen, or simply call the lab at the number listed.
Breakthroughs.
And I am here with Prattville Mayor Bill Gillespie. He's here to take your calls and questions about his city on today's Talkback. Give us a call at the numbers on your screen, 800-504-4084 or 420-TALK. That's after these messages. Stay with us.